if Jess was like, how's my sobrino? She's going to be like,
Stalker. Are you the paedophiles we're hearing about in social media?
Mama's Code.
Hey,
Hey,
mamas.
hey,
mamas.
mamas.
I'm Jess.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Melissa.
And today, guys, can I just say how excited I am to introduce our guest? We started following her, I think it was in April, when she found out she was having a little boy. And she decided to document her whole, the last months of pregnancy. And it all got a bit different to what we all expect. And she had an early birth. We just feel so connected with the whole story. And we just want to thank you for sharing it on social media. But today we have the lovely Stephanie.
Hi guys, thank you for including me.
How's motherhood treating you?
It is honestly not what I expected. I thought it was going to be easier because you know when you hear people say, "Oh, get ready for the sleepless nights." No, that it's real. I thought this is a bit of jokes, like, "Oh yeah, sleepless night," but no, it's real. But it's a lot harder than what I expected. But I'm so happy that he's finally home. But I missed having a good night's sleep. I'm not gonna lie.
I remember we telling you through the DMs, we were like, enjoy the nights now because once he's home.
I know, and I actually remember this, and I look back at pictures that I took with him, and I felt like I looked better, like I was like glowing, whereas now I just feel like I look dead. Definitely, I'm pale, my eyes like, oh my god, but no, it is real. The sleepless nights, yeah. But no, I'm enjoying it, and I love having him home. But it has been it's been hard. I'm not gonna lie, especially for Dad. I think he struggled the most, even though I'm the one that's doing most of the work.
So how old is he now?
Yeah, so he should have been born on the 5th September. So he's still technically he's not premature anymore. But he should have been born on the 5th September. So he's
How many weeks were you then? Sorry, me trying to calculate is just not happening.
33, right?
Yeah, 33 weeks and 3 days. And the whole thing was so mental because obviously in my head, my whole pregnancy was like perfectly normal, but everything just kind of escalated. And the doctors were like, one day I had an appointment and they said, the baby's not growing, we're just going to monitor him a bit more. And I think, so the last scan I think that I was supposed to have was at my 20-week scan, and the nurse was like, you're fine, you don't have to come back. But my iron levels were really low at the beginning of the pregnancy. And one of the doctors was just like, I'm wanting to continue me having scans for a few weeks more, just to make sure that the baby was okay, just because for my iron levels. But my iron levels were completely fine, but he, it was just a precaution. So I had after my 20-week scan, I had another scan, and that's when they noticed that his he just wasn't regrowing. And they asked me just to come back after I think about a month later. They said we might have to deliver the baby, trying to get me to the 37 weeks. That's what they were trying to do and planning to do. And then the week after, they said we may have to deliver him at 36 weeks. And I was like, okay, that's fine. 36 weeks, okay. We can, it's just a few weeks to go. But they were still they were going to try and push to 37. The week later, they said, we're going to deliver him at 35. And then the week after, I had another scan and they said, we might have to deliver your baby by the end of the week or in 24 hours.
Oh my God.
It was absolutely nuts because I remember I was doing, so I have to, whenever they're like, well, there's an issue with your baby, like if it's, if your baby's too small, too big, they put you on like these monitoring machines, and it's called a CTG. So I had to have one like 3 times a week, 4 times a week. They just wanted to keep an eye on his heartbeat and just monitor his movements. So I was going, and on Monday I had another scan just to see his growth again, another growth scan, and I had to have another CTG. And I just remember like going in, like I had no makeup, my hair was a mess, I was tired, it was a Monday. And I logged in, I did some work in the morning, and then I just had my appointment. And it was like nothing. I just thought, oh, they're going to tell me, oh, you know, he's still small. We're still planning on bringing him in earlier. And I just remember I was on this for 2 hours. I couldn't feel my legs because these beds were like these really hard beds. And I just remember, like, there was one doctor and he kept coming in saying, I don't think you'll have your baby tomorrow. Don't worry. Because after she said 24 hours, I screamed so loud. One of the nurses ran because she thought something happened to me. I was like, 24 hours? Are you serious? And she was like, oh, the doctor was like, it'll be fine. Don't worry. Like, we'll don't panic. We'll see what happens. We'll keep you on the monitoring. It's fine. And one of the other doctors was like, I don't think you will. Don't worry. Don't panic. And then a few minutes later, they came in and said, okay, we're gonna sort out a bed at the delivery suite. We're gonna sort out a bed for you. And I was like, are you joking? They were like, yeah, we're just gonna keep you in the hospital. You're gonna have to stay overnight. And of course, you might have to have your baby in, you know, it might be 24 hours. And I didn't even know what to say. I was speechless. I was like, oh, okay, this is fine. But this other doctor was like, don't stress. It's not going to happen. Don't worry. They were just like, go get your baby bag ready. And I was like, baby bag? My baby bag is a packet of nappies.
Was that because of, like, obviously all the shops closed because of COVID, or you just didn't have your bag ready?
Yeah, I just didn't have my bag ready. I was so unprepared because I thought, because honestly, I thought, okay, 34, 35, that my baby shower was supposed to be that weekend. So that weekend I was supposed to like have my baby shower, and then we were just going to go out like shopping, and I was going to order everything. So I was pretty chill about the whole thing. All I had was some nappies and a couple of sleep suits for like a 3-month baby. So I had nothing. It was so bad.
So you actually were able to leave the hospital to sort everything out?
Yeah, so they were going to send me in a taxi, and I jumped off the bed and I was like, no, I've got to go home and get stuff ready because I have nothing. And I need to go buy something for the bed, because they were like, go, you need some clothes, you need this. And I was like, in my head, I kept thinking, I don't think I'm having the baby. I'm not having the baby tomorrow. I'm not going to panic. But obviously, because they just wanted me to be prepared, I called my husband and I was like, just so you know, he was so chill. He was calm. He was like, okay, just go home, get yourself ready. And I came home and I just packed like pajamas, snacks, because obviously can't go anywhere without some snacks. And yeah, just load like whatever baby stuff my mum bought me, and that's all I took with me. They were going to keep me there just to do like another monitoring session, like another CTG. And then they were going to determine when I was going to have my baby. When I got to the hospital, they hooked me up to the machine again for like about an hour and a half, and they still hadn't made a decision. So they kind of like sat me to one side, and then I had like a few people come and talk to me, a pediatrician. She spoke to me about the risks of a premature baby. And usually I'm quite calm in these circumstances, but I just remember I'd started crying. And the doctors was like panicking and she didn't know what to do. And then she was like, oh, got me some tissues. And then they said, okay, we'll come back and then we'll let you know. So I was like, okay, this is fine. Because I was like, my biggest concern was, am I calling my husband? Am I thinking he's got to come? And then after my second CTG, they came in and they were just like, okay, so you're having your baby tomorrow. We're going to schedule it for tomorrow. And I was like, this is absolutely insane. I felt like I didn't have 5 minutes to process anything. It was absolutely insane.
At this point, apart from your husband, did anyone else, like, did you even manage to like tell your mom or your family members? Because that just sounds like the craziest Noila script.
You know, you saying this, I always, like with both pregnancies, I always thought, how cool would it be to go to like a scan and be told, oh, we have to go give birth now. But now hearing it from you, I'm like, oh no, thank God it didn't happen to me. That just sounds really emotional. Like, I don't know how I would take it.
And imagine not being ready at all. Like they said, it's either going to be 24 hours or the end of the week, or they didn't know. It's like, what do you mean? Like, you need to tell me something. Like, what the hell?
It was nuts. The whole thing was nuts. And I when I think, you know what, when I go back to the times I've gone back to the hospital and I've looked at like where I gave, but it brings back, like, I feel like crying because I remember everything as if it was yesterday, like walking in there with my little suitcase and my one packet of nappies, and like them putting me in that room, the whole thing. Every time I go to the hospital, all these emotions come up and I feel like crying. And sometimes I think, am I being a bit like, am I just really emotional? But honestly, it was really like exciting, but at the same time, it was probably one of the scariest things I've ever had to go through in my whole life. Because honestly, when I got there and they was like, okay, we scheduled your the surgery for tomorrow, I just kept sending voice notes to my mom, to my friends, and obviously calling my husband, like, this is going on, like, you need to get home, you need to come and do some shopping, go to Sainsbury's, buy this, buy that. When I told my mom was like freaking out as well. And my dad took the car, so she couldn't like drive and come and get me and everything. So, and my dad works all the way in like High Wycombe. So my dad was like, oh my God, why did I take the car? They were all just screwing. Everyone was going nuts. So it was just the whole thing was so overwhelming. And I remember, like, when they told me you're going to have your baby, they started to prepare me for the surgery, putting all, the socks on, the gown. I had like a midwife looking after me. They had to inject this thing called magnesium, I think it was. And when they inject it, as they're doing it, your whole body feels it's on fire inside. It was horrible. And they had to do it for like a few hours. I remember I just had like all these doctors and consultants coming into my room just telling me this is what's going to happen. I had like what's it called? The spinal
epidural.
It's like
Is it an epidural?
Is it called a spinal? I don't know. But basically they inject, when they numb you from like the waist down. Yeah. So my biggest, I was so scared because usually I feel like I'm so, I'm brave. Like when it comes to pain or anything in life, I'm just so brave. I'm like, you know what, I can do this. Like even when I'm nervous, but this, wow, like it's the whole, we're going to take your baby out while you're fully awake. Do you know what I mean? I knew I wasn't going to feel any pain, but the whole thing was like, what if I start feeling pain? What if, all, as I'm like sitting there and I start feeling as they're poking and
half open.
Exactly. And luckily my husband could be there with me, and they only changed the policy the week before. As they're telling me this is what's going to happen, if we don't do it now, potentially the issue is because the baby was so small, his measurements were getting less and less. So they couldn't tell why. They couldn't, the blood flow was perfectly fine. The water around him was perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with him, but because his movements were getting less, the biggest fear was that my placenta was failing. So obviously he wouldn't be getting enough food, enough oxygen. And obviously the fear was that he could be struggling way too much. And when they started talking about, stillbirth and stuff like that, that's when I just, it was just the best. It's what they had to do. What the doctor said to me was like, we're not gaining anything on waiting a bit more. We're just going to have to bring him now.
Mama's Code.
From the morning that I had my scan appointment to the moment they took me into the theatre, I felt like that was, I closed my eyes, opened them again, and that was it. I didn't have like 5 seconds to breathe or to even think about anything.
You were just saying that they were telling you about, all the possibilities of like stillborn and all of this. Was it a balance between you and the baby, or was it more just to save the baby's life? As in you weren't at risk yourself?
Yeah, it was just about the baby. I was perfectly fine. They were obviously monitoring us both. With my iron levels and stuff, but I was perfectly fine. But it was just the baby. It was just that not knowing why he wasn't growing, because his growth wasn't. It was just at a standstill, and obviously because they couldn't give me a reason as to why. Because it could have been hereditary, it could have been the placenta failing. Because I was quite a small baby when my mum had me. I was tiny, so I kept thinking, it's fine. It's probably. It comes from like my family because my grandma had a small baby, so I wasn't panicking too much about it. But then when they were doing the monitoring, they noticed that his movements weren't as they should be. So at a baby at 33 weeks, he should have been moving a lot more. And from that Sunday, he just wasn't hardly moving. So he would always like move in the morning and then calm down. And then again, I feel like they move, sleep, get up, move again, sleep. And you can just feel all the kicks. And I remember that Sunday, because I was at my mum's house. We were trying to put together the gazebo for like the baby shower and stuff. And I just remember thinking, why is this baby not moving? What is going on? And that day I had a stressful day. So I thought, is it my stress? Is he feeling my stress? Is he tired? Is he lazy? But I just remember that day thinking that. And then on Monday when I mentioned it and they looked at the monitor, they said, you know, something's wrong with him. They said, you know, if they waited, something could have happened.
You know, like during pregnancy and everything, you said that it was pretty fine. Did you have a birth plan?
No, because I hadn't had like an appointment with midwife because I know a few people tell me you usually have an appointment with your midwife, and then they ask you what you want. They explain, you know, what the whole process is, but I had nothing. Like I had a few friends tell me, oh, I wanted to do it in like like a little pool. I just remember Googling the most painless way to give birth. Because in my head I just thought I don't want to, you know, anything, whatever's less painful, that's what I want to go through. To be honest, I was just probably the most unprepared woman in the history of life to ever have a baby, because I had nothing, literally nothing. And I was so clueless about most things. I was way too relaxed throughout the whole pregnancy, because a lot of my friends were like, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you sorted this? Have you got your baby bag? And I was like, no, I've got time. It's fine. It's fine.
We have someone within the three of us who took the very laid back approach, to the point where we were like, can you please, like, let's go to Boots and I will buy you what you need, because I could literally feel the grey hairs popping.
Oh my God.
For Erica's baby shower, we made her like a balloon basket decoration, and we put essentials for her and the baby in there, because at this point she didn't have anything, and we were so worried. We were like, this is the only way we're gonna get her.
It was that bad that my mum had to give me knickers, you know, like like the knickers she uses for pregnancy. Well, not for pregnancy, but that's just what she uses for me, because I didn't go Primark to buy my knickers, or wherever really. I just kept saying, yeah, I'll go soon, and then like pain's hit, and she was like, ¿Dónde están los calzones? And I was like, oh.
¿Dónde están los calzones? You know what, I feel like it's one of those things that you feel like it will all fall in place. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just because at the end of the day, it's like once the baby's here, it'll all fall in place. And I feel like, I don't know, with me, I relied so much on like mum and my aunts. They were all out buying stuff. So in my head, I was like, I'll be fine. My excuse was he came way too early, way too early.
It's his fault he didn't have anything, not yours.
Mama, I love you.
So going back to obviously when they were preparing you and you had him and everything. How was it? Like, did they give you the baby straight away, or did they actually take him to make sure he was, okay?
No, so I remember I was laying there, and the doctors were just, as they were like taking him out, they were just having like a chat, and I was shaking, I was a bit nervous, but I was having a chat with my husband, but I just remember they were like, he's here, he's out. And then I was like, my husband does, his English isn't great. So I was like, he's here, just that. And then he started smiling. And I remember I hear him cry, and they bring him over for like 10 seconds. And they just show him to me from like one the nurses. She just had him, and she just showed him to me like really quickly. And then she took him away. And then I was crying, and I was like freaking out, and they call my husband, and they were like, come and take pictures. And I was like, vaya, tome fotos. I was like, just get out of here, go. So he went and he was taking pictures, and then he came over, and they put him near my face, because obviously I was like on the bed as they were like doing whatever they needed to do. And I was crying. I couldn't even get my words out. I couldn't speak. Like whatever I was saying, it was just coming out as like, I was just mumbling. I don't know. And I was crying. And he was there for like, I don't know, for a good 30 seconds. And then they took him away. And yeah, that was it. It wasn't even a minute that I couldn't even hold him. It was probably the most amazing experience, but I kind of felt sad because obviously I know with most moms, once you have the baby, you like get to like hold them and sit with them. But no, with me, they had to take him straight to the intensive care unit.
How did that make you feel like after? Because obviously the priority was to get your son out, and then you're just kind of left there because he's rushed to make sure that he's okay. Did you feel like it made not enjoy that part, or wish that you would have been able to have a different thing? Or did you just think, you know what, let me be, I'm grateful, he's here, I'm okay, he's okay, and it is what it is?
To be honest, in that moment, I think I was so excited that he was born. But when they took him away, they said to my husband, come with us, and like to show him where the baby was going to be. At that bit, I was completely alone, and I just started crying because I was like, I was just by myself. So I was like, my baby's not here, my husband's not here, and the experience, yeah, like you said, it's not like a normal experience. But even though they'd taken him away, and I couldn't hold him, and I couldn't like have that special moment, he's just been born, and I can't like hold him, I can't kiss him. Like, I've got a son, but where is he? He's not here. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, as long as he was okay, I knew he was in the best care, because like he was with the pediatricians, he was with the nurses, and in my mind that was the most important thing. As long as he's breathing, as long as he's, they've got him hooked up to these machines and he's going to be okay. To me, that was the most important thing. But obviously not being able to have that normal experience of just holding him the first few minutes of his birth, to me it was a bit sad. And I think it affected me a bit more when I was in the hospital. So in that evening when they came and they I was able to try and get up and walk. I was allowed to go and see him, but I remember when I tried to get up, because obviously half my body was like fully asleep. And when I tried to get up, the pain was so bad. I remember I was almost going to pass out. So the nurse like grabbed me and she said, go into your baby tomorrow. Don't go today. You can't go anywhere today. And it was about 10 o'clock at night. And I remember sitting there and I was in the maternity department, and I could hear all these other babies crying. So I sat there for like a good 30 minutes and I just cried myself to sleep, because I was like, I should be here with my baby right now. That day, for the whole day, even though I hadn't slept, because obviously I was in the surgery and I was tired, and even the nurses were like, try and sleep. But my whole, I just couldn't, because all I wanted to do was go and see him. And I was trying to use every like strength I had in my body to just walk and go and see him, but I couldn't. I just absolutely couldn't. So I just had to sit there and cry myself to sleep. That was so hard.
Girl, I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight thinking about that.
It was horrible, but no. But the next morning I got up at like 7, even though I could barely walk. I got up at like 7. I did my hair in a ponytail, put dry shampoo, as if I was going to see like going on a date or something, going to see my boyfriend. I probably got up, I like had a shower. I had to get the nurse to help me, but I probably got up and got myself ready. And I walked so slowly, but as soon as they managed to get me up from the bed and I could walk, I just went straight to go and see him. And some of the nurses were like, wow, you look really good. And I was like, because I spent like 20 minutes trying to make myself look pretty for him, even though he has no idea who I am. He's like, he can't even see me. But I was like, I need to make myself look good just so I can see my little bubby. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was hard. That the moment that day that I couldn't spend the night with him, that was hard. The first day, the day he was born, I saw him for like not even 30 seconds.
Were you by yourself during the night, or did your husband stay around with you?
I was by myself. I think he could have stayed if I was, if it wasn't for all this COVID-19 craziness. But yeah, I had to spend the night by myself. But they gave me a nice room. Apparently I had the nicest room because I had a TV, and it was like I had my own room. I didn't have to share it with anyone. That was the only nice thing about it.
So how long were you in hospital after?
2 nights. Yeah, 2 nights. So they kept, the first night was just after the surgery, and then they kept me in one more night because my my iron levels were really low after the surgery. My blood pressure was really low, like extremely low. But I felt fine. I felt completely fine. They just wanted to keep me there just to make sure that I was 100% and that, you know, I wasn't going to pass out halfway home or something.
As parents, you know, you have your baby, you have that first moment with them, and then the next best kind of exciting moment is when you manage to, you know, get leave from hospital and go home. And obviously for you that experience was totally different because you would have had to leave the hospital by yourself. How did that make you kind of feel?
I'm not going to cry. Just thinking about it just makes me emotional. It was so hard because I was with him and oh my God, I'm just getting emotional. Sorry. So yeah, I was with him and my mum kept saying, when are you coming home? Because my mum wanted to see me. All my family wanted to see me, even though I was going to come home babyless, but everyone just wanted to see me and my grandma wanted to talk to me. So my mum just kept saying, like, you know, when you're ready, let me know. And I was so tired. So we ended up, I just remember, like, when I had to say, I was in the hospital, I got up, got myself ready. My husband came, he bought me like a change of clothes, and then we were with him for the whole day. But then when I had to leave, I was just crying uncontrollably. That's all it was. I kept crying. I think it was, not even when I was about to go home, I was crying from like the morning because I knew I had to go home and I had to leave him. And it's especially hard because, and he's connected with all these wires, and you know that they're comfortable because, you know, they've got like, when they've got the cannula in their little hands with all these like things, and they can't, when he's crying because he's uncomfortable and you're just standing there watching them and there's nothing you can do, and you're like, I'm his mum, I should be able to pick him up and comfort him, but I couldn't do that. Do you know what I mean? So it was so hard. I would watch him cry and then I would stand there and cry. It was horrible. It was the most horrible experience. As soon as my mum saw me, she burst out into tears as well because she knew, like, it was so hard. It was so hard. Like, the whole time my husband just had to just hold me because I felt like I just wanted to just, I don't know, sit in a corner and just cry. I couldn't. It was hard because it was like, he's my baby and I've got to leave him here. And that's it. I'm going to be at home. And then, you know, even though the hospital's not too far, but I feel like it shouldn't be that way. But I mean, at the same time, I knew that that's where he had to be because, you know, it was the best place for him to keep him safe. And so hard.
It's crazy because, you know, at that point you have so many emotions, but you also have to be grateful for the fact that he is in good hands and he made it, you know.
So it kind of like makes you think, you know, you've got your baby, he is safe, but it kind of puts you in the shoes of those mothers that do have stillborn babies and have to walk out and know that they're not going to be able to go back and see their baby. So obviously you were kind of in their shoes for the moment, but in your head and in your heart you knew you could go back any time to visit your child, and eventually he was going to come home with you. Imagine the pain these women feel when they literally leave the hospital and know they've left a part of them there forever.
Yeah, that would break any woman, honestly, just because obviously what I went through, I think a lot of mums, like you say, have to go through something like that. And my baby, I think even his experience in the ICU was not that bad compared to a lot of stories and, you know, women that I spoke to that were there and had their babies. So I mean, that, I feel like, yeah, what I went through was hard enough. And honestly, if people that go, any woman that goes through that, knowing that that would break you, absolutely break you. I wouldn't even be able to. I couldn't. I don't know.
How was your experience with the care that your son received and you received as well, mentally and support wise?
From the moment that he left the hospital, the care that I received was absolutely amazing. In a way, even though like the experience to me was, when I think about it now, it was scary, it was overwhelming, it was just, you know, it was so much. those 2.5 weeks that I spent with him and all these nurses and doctors I quite liked it because I could ask them all these questions. Like, obviously he's premature. I don't have any experience with like a newborn baby. And now that he was premature, I wanted to make sure that I was going to give him the best care and the best attention when he was at home. Any little noise that he made, I would ask them, what does this mean? Because there would be moments that he looks like he would stop breathing. And I would freak out, but they would always tell me, don't worry, this is what this means. This noise might mean this. I felt like it was like a 2-week training session. So it was good. When I got home, I felt, I didn't feel so like, panicking too much. I wasn't too worried because at the hospital, I felt like I had all this, I could ask them as many questions as I can. And even the doctors as well. And with my husband, because obviously I think first-time dads as well, it's got to be hard for them. And my husband as well, he would ask them all these questions. So the care that he receives, and even me, it was just amazing. It was amazing. The nurses were absolutely amazing, the doctors as well. There was one nurse and she was a bit scary. And I remember coming in and I was like looking at him through the incubator. He was under this UV light because they detected called jaundice in his skin. And they put him under this UV light. And I remember the first thing she said to me in the morning was like, you can't hold him. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm not gonna pick him up. I said, I understand that he's under this light because he needs to be. I said, the well-being of my child, his health is the most important thing to me. I'm not gonna come in and just turn off this machine and just because I want to hold him. And she was like, oh, okay, good. As long as we're on the same page. And I thought, okay, less attitude, please. But maybe I was a bit sensitive, but in my head I thought, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to come in and throw a fit just because I can't hold my baby.
There is nurses and midwives that are a bit insensitive. Obviously, with your situation, you'd think they'll be more kind and understanding that it wasn't like something normal to go through. Like, mentally, you must have been exhausted. Like, you get sold this dream that, you're meant to deliver, you hold your baby, you were ripped off of all these opportunities. So as someone, a specialist, that you're basically trained to deal with mums, and how do these people know you're not going through depression because of everything you've encountered through pregnancy and obviously delivering, and you know that you couldn't hold your baby, and yet they treat you this way? It might have been that once, but I remember for me, when I went to give birth the second time, the midwife was like, yeah, no, you just have to wait. And I was 8 centimeters dilated, and I was like, what are we waiting for? And then someone above her came, and she got shouted at because she was like, what if this lady gives birth here? What are you going to do? But I felt like she was like treating me very hostile, like she just couldn't be bothered to do her job, so she just made me wait there. And that's when they kind of like said, well, see, I don't like speedless, and they were like, yeah, no, we need to get her to run. And I was like, nah, mate, we're walking at my pace.
Did anyone at the hospital and, everyone that knew your situation ask how you were mentally? Because I feel like sometimes these things happen and they're just like, oh, just read this leaflet and you'll be fine. And it's like, that's not the point. Like,
honestly, none of the nurses did, none of the doctors, but my midwife did ask me how I felt because she came to see me at the hospital. She kind of showed up and then we just had a chat, and she was like, if I wanted to have someone call me in a few weeks' time, because she said, a lot of mums do suffer depression, and the experience that we go through sometimes is quite traumatic. So she said, I think whether it's maybe a therapist or someone to call me and have, to book a session with me so I could talk and kind of, vent and share my feelings and share my experience. And I was definitely 100% like, yes, please. Because once he's home, your main focus is the baby. That's what I kept thinking. Once he's home, all this, I'm going to see this as like one big nightmare. He's home. But I said, yeah, 100% yes, because I felt like I say, I might even drive past the hospital and all these emotions. I just feel like, I just want to explode. So I want to get a lot off my chest. So it definitely is, like you say, a leaflet is not enough. So
that's crazy, actually, because we've spoken about kind of the impact motherhood and becoming a first-time mom, or even a second-time mom, whenever you give birth, that impact it has on your mental health and your stability. And we've always kind of said as well that maybe there should be more out there at the beginning. It is all about the baby. And in this situation with you, yes, the priority was to make sure that your son was okay, and, you know, grateful for all of that. But then again, let's look at you, and are you okay? I don't know, I think out of all the people that you probably encountered, doctors and nurses, that there was only one person that actually took the moment to say, oh, how are you and are you okay? That's quite sad.
You come in, I mean, I would go in every day and just like have a chat with the nurses, how's the baby? And I don't really think about me. I mean, a lot of the time my husband would obviously talk to me and be like, are you okay? How are you feeling? And he would constantly say to me, like, usted es una berraca, yo no entiendo usted cómo lo hace, I don't know how you do it, like, I can't believe it. Like, he has this newfound immense respect for women in the world now because he's seen this experience. Like, but obviously now that you guys like mention it, and when my midwife mentioned it, I thought, I never thought about me. I never thought about that situation. You know, it is hard. It is so hard. Like the pressure that it is insane. It's overwhelming. It's, you know, your baby's in the ICU. I mean, I was still recovering from my C-section, which was it was hard anyway because I could barely walk. I'd have to walk so slowly. It was still painful. My husband had to like help me do most things around the house, and I had to rely on him. I had to rely on my mum, for so many things. And like, you know, the whole experience in itself was just, to me, it was traumatic. Because I mean, I felt like I didn't have 24 hours to process all of the information that they were giving me. But yeah, you don't realize at the time, like what this is doing to you as well. Just mentally, it is absolutely, it is a lot. It is a lot for someone to take in. I feel like the support I've had from my family has been amazing. But so far, yeah, it is. I think you're right. It is sad, especially when, like I said before, I think a lot of women do go through. It is a lot harder for other women because I'm so grateful to God that, you know, even though it was hard for me, his experience, I feel like our experience with him in the ICU it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. So I am quite grateful that it wasn't, you know, that his progress, it went so well.
Mama, I love you.
One of the reasons that I posted his progress and his story on Instagram, so I did it when I started doing it. I did it mainly because I had so many of my friends messaging me every day, like, how is he doing, how's his progress? And see my family as well, and my family in Colombia messaging my mom. So I felt like, you know what, I'm just going to post this just so everyone can see. And you know, and I felt like when I started getting so many messages from like friends and people that I haven't spoken to for years, and like other mums, you know, girls that I went to school, like secondary school with and stuff, I felt like that made me a little bit sane, because I would go home and just look at his pictures. I would sit in the hospital and just look at his pictures and just think about him, and I would just cry. But when I started posting things, I felt like people's messages and people's support, and, you know, everyone was being so nice and like, oh, you know, I hope he's doing well, and keep posting stuff. And like, I kept thinking, am I going to be one of those people who, you know, annoying people that just overly post about their baby, and people are going to think, oh, this girl is so annoying. But I had so many people messaging me, and it helped me. I felt like mentally it helped, like just having people even just liking the post was just, it made me a bit more sane. So that's why I just kept doing it.
But wait, can I just say something? I watched the video of when he got home and seeing your mum and everyone crying. I was
just gonna go there.
I was in the kitchen in tears, and I was messaging Jessica like, oh my God, I just want to hug them.
We literally were, every time you would post, I would screenshot, be like, guys, look, this is what's happening with baby E, and this would happen, and we would literally like, oh my God, like, this is crazy. And like, I remember we would message you, and it was just so, like, I think we all just found a connection with the story in one way or the other, because we knew how it's not an easy ride, whether you have it perfectly or not, that, you know, any words that we could have given you were going to make you feel okay. And it's just like, And the moment you posted saying we might be able to take him home, oh my God, I messaged her. I was like, guys, he's coming home. And then when you said
like,
you're...
who's coming home? She would just randomly like tell us things without actually going into depth and
Of who?
I'll be
like, he's coming home. And then I was like, oh my God, he's met his grandma. And they were like, what are you talking about? It was so emotional. And I'm not even like trying to beg, but it was just seeing the whole process of it. And I think it was so empowering for other women that may be going through the same situation. And it's so important to talk about these things and to share these experiences because, like you said, you were finding yourself crying, yourself to sleep. And it's like, if someone else can see these stories and hear these stories, you could be helping someone like massively, probably on the verge of giving up or, I don't know, in a worse situation. But when we saw that he met his grandma, oh my God, if we did not cry, honestly.
I was making frijoles and I was just like, oh, I can't believe this.
And like the thing is, like when they saw his like self in his little car seat, like you could just see how they were all bursting to just grab him. And honestly, I want to hug him.
Yeah, that was such an emotional day. It was absolutely insane. But honestly, when you guys messaged me for the first time and you were like sending me messages, I got really excited. I was so excited. I told my husband, I was like, oh my God. And I was like showing him all your posts and stuff. And I was just like, I just felt like, I don't know. I kind of felt famous. I don't know. It was weird. It was so weird. I don't know. Maybe I was just being weird, but yeah, I kind of felt like, oh my God, I feel like famous. All these people are messaging me. But no, I got really excited. But no, the day that he came home was absolutely insane. Yeah, the emotions were absolutely just everywhere. And do you know what? It's weird actually, because I didn't actually know that we could come home that day. The only reason I was told that we could stay with him was because he had his eye was swollen and he was getting a lot of like discharge, and he started to take his bottles, like he was bottle feeding. And I remember that I called at like 9:00 on Wednesday, and I said, like, how is he doing? Is he still taking his bottles? And they said, yeah, he's doing so well. He's taking his bottles. And then the nurse was like, has anyone told you that you can stay with him? You can room in, like, because we're going to prepare him to go home. And I was like, what? I was like, are you serious? She was like, yeah. So she spoke to like the heads of like the nurses, and they prepared my room for the next day. They called me at 6 a.m. the next day just to confirm if we could stay with him. And I remember at 5 a.m, I was wide awake just waiting for the phone call, and I was like just ready. And I that night that they told me that I potentially could stay in, I made my husband get up and pack his suitcase. I was like, get up and pack all your stuff because we might be going to stay tomorrow. And at 6 a.m. the next day, the nurse called me and she was like, confirmed that we could stay with him. I obviously didn't think that because he wasn't at his goal weight. So everything that was even when that happened, that was like amazing as well, because I did not expect it at all. It was literally just because I called them to ask them about something completely just random that had nothing to do with like, him coming home or anything. My Instagram was one thing. People were saying like, oh, you're so strong, like this is amazing. But behind the scenes, it was, yeah. But like I said, it kept me sane. It kept me going. Like getting home and waiting to read everyone's messages, it made me feel so much better. It made me feel like I could do this. And also all these people were like rooting for us. And I was like, come on, guys. So it was amazing. I would like get home every day after the hospital and just go through all of his videos and his pictures for hours. And like my husband would be like, he'll sit there with me and we'll look at his videos and all his pictures and then he would fall asleep, and then I'd just sit there and just watch them and then cry and cry and cry. And then I'd start posting stuff. But it was an emotional roller coaster. But honestly, your messages, they helped. They absolutely helped. Sharing your experience and stuff. But to me, that made me, that helped me not go completely crazy.
You're on mute. We're on mute.
I just said I'm so happy.
Do you know what? It's so emotional just hearing this, because we are like probably feeling 0.001% of any emotion you might have felt going through this journey. and we are technically strangers. Like,
no, we are baby E's distant aunties.
Yes, okay. Well, now, but in theory, we're strangers, and to be able to be a little bit part of this journey with you, and for you to be brave enough to post this, and the fact that it helped you, I think it's so emotional. It's actually really beautiful.
Yeah, and I keep it there. The story is still on my story. I just keep it there because I don't know. I sometimes just go back and I just reread and watch everything all over again. I just love it. It's just such a massive experience, but it's a part of like us now. It's part of me. It's part of him, and it's just it's something that I still, even though traumatic, it was still like amazing.
It's fair to say that obviously your experience was a roller coaster of emotions, both kind of anxiety, happiness, scared, but we're thankful that you were able to share that with us. And what we really like to do to like wrap an episode up is ask our guests for a golden tip.
My golden tip, oh god, I don't even know how golden it is. It would be, but for any woman that will go through this experience, I mean, if you do hear this, when you're going through it and it's the first day and your baby is in the ICU and it's the second day and you feel like the progress, I mean, every progress is, to you, it's an immense progress, because that's how I felt. Like, if he's gone up 12 grams in your mind, if it's not that much, it's progress nevertheless. And your baby will come home. Like, that's what you just need to keep thinking. So anyone that goes through this, don't give up. Sorry, I get so emotional when I think about it. I think my golden tip is, don't give up. Your baby will come home. Take that time as much as you can to bond with your baby, do the skin to skin, talk to him, sing to him, even though you feel like you're not getting that interaction with him. Just keep going. Don't give up, because your baby will come home. Like, to me, that's something that I just need to, that is the one thing that I just kept telling myself, and here he is now.
And here we are holding back our tears, trying not to cry.
It's so hard not to cry so many times during this.
Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We hope to see baby E growing up and seeing him hit all his milestones and just seeing his little smile.
He loves it. He loves the smile. Honestly, thank you guys so much for letting me come on here and like share this and have my emotions and like
making us tear up.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's amazing. It's amazing that you guys do this, because of like, for people like me, I'm a first time mum, and like, it's just amazing because it makes you feel special. It makes you feel great. So it is. Thank you guys so much for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Mama's Code out. Mwah.
Mama's Code.
Mel, wipe your tears.
Honestly, I always cry.